Bumps and bruises, scratches and scrapes, some of the ingredients that a good life makes. But sorrows become success, and as we aim for the top, we will pause if we must, but we will never stop. Welcome to Sim Soul Sessions. So hello there and welcome to Season 6 of Sim Soul Sessions, the safe space to share your stories. So many of you have been asking when the show is coming back, and we are back. We're honored to know that you missed us, and we're really happy to be back with you because the truth is that we missed you too. So for the next 13 weeks, we're going to be right here with you on a Monday night, inspiring and helping you to hope in tough times thanks to our purpose partners. So we are indebted to them, and we thank them very much for all they're doing to make sure we are on the air. So let's tell you about tonight's show. Tonight's season opener, oh boy, it's going to be a good one. It's a very, very special one in honor of a very special person in my life. He was somebody I tried to get in the big chair several times, but if you knew him as well as I did, I always knew that no matter how much I tried, it was never going to happen. Now, I know this to be a fact, as my mentor, colleague, friend, Francois St Juste, passed away on Monday, August 29, shocking friends, shocking family, shocking a nation. So the only way I could open this season was by paying tribute to him, to honor this man whom we all loved so much, some of us from a distance, many of us close up. We have some of the folks whose lives he touched with us tonight. His longtime colleague and friend, Derek Wilkes, one of his many talent finds in terms of just amazing possibilities and potential and all realized now, Tricia Sparks Spence, and his brother, Brian Sanchez Juste, plus a ton of other folks in our Good Vibes segment. I mentioned before that I tried to get him in the big chair, but it didn't work. But I'm very happy he was actually on the show doing what he always did, pouring into others. Have a look. And for the 15 years that I worked in radio, it was a gentleman by the name of Francois St Juste who was my mentor. He not only helped me hone my skills in radio and broadcasting, but in management and really in life.
Sim.
This is why you must have control over your show.
I'm here to celebrate with you and congratulate you on all you have done. Yes, we remember those early days. If I'm to let out secrets, that's 23 years ago. And you came in as a very shy, unassuming person. And you already had the talent, we knew that. We heard your voice and felt your soul. And you started in the night, helping people from then, because those were some phone calls.
Yes.
And then you kept growing until you were part of the management team. And I heard you saying you had to have a broad back, and yes, that was difficult. But we had a blast. So I'm so happy that you've been able to do this project that we've been speaking about for years. And here it is, you've done it, and done it so successfully. And again, helping others. Congratulations to you.
Thank you, boss.
You don't get to call me boss anymore.
You will always be boss, whether you like it or not. And I am so grateful to you, Francois, for giving me a chance. and for believing in me and for making me realize that no is not an option.
That's right.
That I cannot do that, Francois, is not an option. And that, as you've always told me, there are no problems, only opportunities for solution.
There you go.
Amazing man he was. Many of you watching didn't realize that I actually had no idea he was going to be on the show. It was my producer, Lori, who knew what he meant to me and reached out to him. And it was only after he passed that she told me that he told her when she asked him, if it's for Simone, just tell me when and where, and I'll show up. I look back at this clip, and I wish I had hugged him in that moment, but I am grateful for all the chances I had since that time to do so, and I took them. When we come back, we're going to talk to Francois' longtime colleague turned friend, Derek Wilkes. Welcome back, everybody, to our season premiere, where tonight we are honoring the life of Francois Alain Gregoire. We used to call him St Juste. Francois Alain Gregory is his real name. No tears tonight, you know. No tears tonight. Right, Derek?
Not at all.
Okay. When he came to fame in '84, Derek was already here. And they met and united in passion and purpose. They became fast friends. Derek Wilkes joins us now. In his maroon and almost gold, which I find to be so ironic. Did you plan that?
Well, no, actually. But the stars aligned.
I know.
Yes.
I know. So I'm going to go back to the morning of August 29. I walked over to the studio after Smile, and I came over to see if Paula was still over there. You were in the chair
I was.
where he would have usually been sitting. And I looked at you, and you looked at me, and we exchanged no words. We touched hands,
Yes.
and that was about all we could really manage. Tell me about the magnitude of that moment and sitting in that moment, knowing what you had just heard and had to process.
Well, if I were to go back to that morning, I would never wish to relive it. First of all, I was given the news to read. I recall just moments before, Paula was at home. She was working virtually. And so I had her on screen. I could see her. And she was interviewing somebody in another country. And she looked at her phone and broke down. And the interviewee in another country started apologizing, thinking she had said something. I thought that Paula was being distracted by something else. And then it clicked on me that I had also seen the initial social media post, which I dismissed. That was one of the first things that greeted
So
me.
you saw the post?
I saw the post. I think it would have been on Pink Wall or one of those places.
Oh, my gosh.
So I dismissed it because I'd only spoken with Brian the night before, a few hours before, and we spoke about Francois. And coming out of that conversation, I had the hope that he would have turned the corner. So I quickly got on my phone and I said to Paula, rubbish, ignore that. Social media, get on with the work of doing the interview. She saw my text, took my word for it, completed.
Oh, no.
At the end of the interview, towards the end of the interview, the confirmation came, I think, from someone here. And when I saw her dip the second time, and then I got the message, and I was told to stand by for an official statement to share with the public.
Derek, did you have to read that? I was on Smile, so I don't know what was going on. Did you have to read it?
The first thing I said to myself was, Derek, you're a professional. And I took a deep breath.
Oh, gosh.
And I thought a million thoughts. And I asked myself, how do you read this? And then I got the call, okay, go ahead and share this. So halfway through sharing it was when my voice cracked. It was...
Good God, I could not. As professional as...
Yeah,
I mean,
it was a tough one.
when the news broke in social, they actually came and took my phone off the set for some... I didn't know why they were taking the phone, but I learned after.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the man, though, because you met him in '84. You said when you met, you guys were mavericks, but you were given permission
We were given
to rule the world.
We were given long lease to go forth and be great. So we were explorative, we were adventurous, we were young kids, fresh off the block, you know, so we dreamt big. And we were encouraged to dream big and do good works. And by and large, he blossomed very early, you know. He had an imaginative mind, and he read a lot. He was up on entertainment, and he was always willing to explore, you know. So whatever he thought of, he would also think of a way of accomplishing. So if a thought would pop up that we could do this, then he'd accept that this is going to be done. Then he'd work his way back to how do we begin to accomplish it, you know?
I told you he had an engineer's mind. He was a physicist who was an entertainer who knew music, who was an engineer.
He was all of that and more.
Yeah, for sure.
He was quite maverick.
Yes.
Yes.
And you outside of your professional relationship, which was interesting because you worked as colleagues and he became your boss and then you became his supervisor.
Yes.
You say he never changed.
Oh, no, he was constant. So there was mutual respect because he earned it, you know. He was never pompous. So when he was my boss, he was still my brethren. And when the roles reversed, we were still brethren. So we spoke on that level. And even when he was my boss initially, if there was an idea I had, I was very comfortable in discussing it. And he was always entertaining of new ideas.
Absolutely.
You know, so if
the
you come with
newer
something,
and the more bizarre, the better.
There you go.
The better,
You know?
yeah.
So we always found a way to make things work.
Yeah, but you spoke about more than work.
Yes.
You say you know as brethren, you guys had frank discussions
We
about just
talked
about everything.
Everything.
Including the last conversation you had with
The last conversation I had with him had to do with health.
Yeah.
Men's health in particular. I remember him coming to the top of the stairs to my office, a couple of steps down, and he looked a little winded. And I pulled over in my chair, I looked up, and when I saw that he was still standing there after a couple of minutes, I came out. And I said to him, yo, brethren, if I take care of these 60s models, you know, because they don't make parts for us guys anymore. And he chuckled, you know, and he acknowledged that, you know, true. And shortly after, you know, he didn't come to work. I thought he was just taking a day off. Then I heard that
Francois doesn't take days off. You know this, Derek.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Yeah. How, as we go to break, will you remember him? How should we all remember him?
A dedicated professional, a committed person, a humble person. He was humble to a fault. You know, he was, like I said, never pompous. He would never blow his own horn. You'd never know how good he was until you worked with him. You know, he doesn't boast, he doesn't brag, he doesn't wear his greatness on his sleeve.
I love how you're still talking about him in the present tense.
Yeah, it's still kind of hard.
I know, Derek, I know.
Yeah.
I know. We're going to go to break, but you said something that, you know, I want to explore, perhaps with Trish, definitely with Brian, because we've spoken about it too. The fact that we wonder if he knew how great
he was.
He was.
Yes.
You know? Thank you for sharing, my friend.
My absolute pleasure.
I appreciate it. When we come back, we're going to talk to one of his many finds and many talents he discovered. Tricia Sparks Spence is here. Uncle Francois could get her to sit. on this set. God, trust me, we've been trying. We'll be right back with more Simso Sessions after this. You cannot come on my set and be giving directions. Listen, man, I do the cutting around here. You're not going to cry. Welcome back, everybody. We're remembering the life and the legacy of Francois St Juste, and we're looking back now with someone we have been trying to get on this set for a long time. She's only agreed this time around because of her love and respect for this man. So you know it is tall. Tricia Sparks Spence is with us, for those of you who used to listen to Fame 95 FM. Wild Child was her name. I won't tell you why on this show. That's for when she actually comes for her own session. Hello there, love.
Hi, Simone.
It's
Thank
good
you
to
for
see
having
you.
me.
Thank you for
It's great to
coming,
see you
Trish.
too.
It's good to see you, man. Feel like old times, you know? Interestingly enough, we've been having some good laughs
Yes.
at some of the memories in the office with Francois, because those are some formative broadcast years in your life.
Absolutely.
And when we spoke, you just couldn't say enough about the fact that you tell me what Francois meant to you.
You know, Francois changed the entire direction of my life because I had just returned to Jamaica and I was about to pursue higher studies. And I was saying to myself during that year, I wanted to get involved in the arts, in dancing, in theater, on radio and on television. And so I had done everything. I actually went to Edna Manley. I did stage, theater. I got on radio. And as a matter of fact, I was actually at another radio station. And when I went into work, I was told, give Francois a call. I obviously was not thinking Francois St Juste because in my mind, where him know me from.
Hey.
So I looked at the number and I called and Sue answered the phone. Sue was his assistant at the time. And I said, which Francois? She said.
Which Francois?
Yeah, like,
How many are there?
yeah,
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
and it was Francois St Juste. He called me in to do a commercial and I did it. And he called me to do another commercial and I came in and I did it. And he said to me, I would like for you to do an audition. I don't have a slot for you, but, you know, I like your voice. So I did the audition. I didn't hear from him. And he called me back because they had lost my audition. And I came back and I did it. And I had forgotten about it. So one day I was coming home. I was walking. I can't forget. I was walking.
Yes, she used to walk Woolleap.
Walk and ride bicycle.
And ride bicycle,
Right.
Woolleap. Yeah.
So, you know, I was walking. I can't forget. I was walking past Dovecote on Constant Spring Road, right at the bus stop. And I got a call, and he said, he basically said, so what day is good for you? You know, what day is good
Do you
for
mean
you?
matter of fact?
Right, because no. I had, at that point, I'd just started university for my higher level education. And I said, well, Friday. And he said, oh, perfect, because someone left.
Slot is open.
Well, after that, I heard nothing else, you know, because I was screaming and I ran all the way home.
Yes.
You know, I could not believe this moment was happening. And he changed my life because I wasn't thinking about a career in media. I did not study media communication. That's not what I studied. So he changed my life and in other things that he did, you know.
So tell me a little bit about coming here, because he taught you the ropes. You pretty much were steeped in the business.
Wet behind
because
the
of-
ears.
Yes.
Yes.
And he helped you, ran you up the curve.
Yes.
Never angry.
Never.
Upset.
Don't tell that story. Don't tell that story. I feel like you're going to tell the
I'm
story.
not going to tell the story.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell the story. You tell the story.
No. So when I came, he gave me training. You know, he gave me vocal training. He gave me directions. And what I liked about Francois is he allowed you to make mistakes. and he would not chastise you. He wasn't the kind of boss that would have a big stick over your head. He allowed you to explore and to grow. And I think that was just his way, because he was like that. And he probably understood that having a beating stick over your head would probably only drive more fear into you, which would prevent you from wanting to exploring and reaching to your greatest potential. I'll use an example because Simone is definitely going to want to go there. And shout outs to Paula and shout outs to Denny. If you listen to film in the early days, then you would remember Francois and Denny. So I remember that morning, because I wasn't as animated as I am. No, I was always animated, but not on the radio, because at that time in radio it was different. I had a mid-morning slot. And so Patrick Lafayette said to me, he said, you know, you have a really nice voice. You just need to turn the pot up a little more. Turn it all the way up, as a matter of fact.
So you turned it up?
I buck the pots. The pot, by the way, is what comes the volume,
yes.
Right? Denny comes in for the 12:30 news, and I'm reading the time signal, and I said, the time by KFC, I remember it's a KFC time signal, right? Is 12:30.
No, you never said 30, Trish.
I never said 30, I said 30.
Yeah, you said 30. Load.
There's a fiberglass material under the chair. And I pushed back the chair that had wheels. And I remember, I can envision everything, and I came like this. Jesus Christ, you hear what me say 30 instead of 30. And Denny was like this.
She did.
Paula, if you're not familiar with the distance of Fame's office from the studio, it's an appreciable distance. Paula was on the studio glass like a fly.
It was hilarious. It was hilarious.
I said to Denny after my shift, I said, okay, it was nice knowing you. I'm going to pack my things and I'm going to leave. Well, Francois called before I could leave. And he was the calmest person, you know. He just asked, so, you okay? What happened?
That's
just
all
in the calmest voice. You know, I went up to the office after, and, you know, he didn't chastise me. He just wanted to know what happened. And I just feel like if we had more examples of that,
which is where I'm going,
you know, people would be willing to try.
Because you said what stands out to you about him, with all his accolades, is just how good a human being, a person. Good boss too, you know.
Absolutely.
But it's how good a person he was.
I have nothing bad to say about Francois St Juste. He is a great human being. I have no bad experiences with him. I have nothing bad to say about the man. The man allowed me to grow and to flourish. And I'm not the only one. I think a lot of persons are surprised at how many persons he groomed, because he was not one to walk around and beat his chest. He's not that person. And he would bat for you. He would fight for you.
And fight with you.
Fight with and for you. That's a rarity. In media, a lot of persons are selfish. He was an unselfish individual. And I'll never forget him. Francois is the person who made me realize that I could do voiceovers and that I could actually go on stage and MC a show. I tend to be very aloof, and for the most part, I don't speak a lot. I actually don't like interviews unless I'm conducting them. You know, I am alone. I will stand in, I stand in a room and observe. I'll not speak. And it has nothing to do with me being standoffish. That's just how I've always been.
Yeah.
And I remember at a road party, you know, Francois tapped me and he said, little one, go on the stage. And I said, what? Go on the stage. I think Rodney Campbell was there. Rodney was there. I don't think Rodney heard. And I said, do what? Do what? And I froze. He pushed me up the staircase right on the stage. I think it was Old Harbor or Maypen. And I looked out and I was like, what am I going to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I going to say? He drove that fear out of me.
And started your MC career.
That's how I started doing MC.
Yeah. We have to go to break, Trish. And a lot of what he's poured into you, you're not pouring into other people. He's motivated you to give back, to mentor, to
Very
help bring other
important.
people
You have to
up,
pay it forward.
pay it forward, yeah.
Because no one lives forever.
Yeah,
Even though they will have their legacy, no one lives forever.
yeah. May his soul rest. We have to go to break. How will you remember him, quickly?
He's a great man. Not a selfish person. And he always wants people to flourish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you continue to do that in his
you,
memory
and same
because you're
to
doing
you.
a
Thanks for
fantastic
having me.
job. All right, Tricia Spence, you know her as Sparks. When we come back, we're going to talk to Francois's brother, Brian, after this. Do what you said you were going to do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Welcome back to the show. We've been speaking to colleagues from RJR Group, people who have worked with Francois for over the years. And what we're doing is just trying to reflect on the memories, the associations, and what kind of individual he is. So with me is someone you know already, Simone Clark Cooper. Please welcome her to the show. Simone, talk to me about when you first met Francois. What was that like?
You know, you're not going to do this, though. You're not going to do
Well, I just answer that question. People, you want to hear that, right?
Yes.
So talk to us
Is he
about
really-
the first...
you're really doing this?
When you first met him, and what was that experience?
I met him at an audition. I met him at the audition that we did when 300 of us were crowded into RJR's lobby and spilling outside. And went to the little room by Studio One, and he was down at the bottom with Rosamond and looking on very intently while I did the audition. And then I waited, and he called and said, the job is yours. He was very different from what I knew on radio, because on radio he's so big and larger than life. But he was so muted and so...
And isn't that something? And that's the kind of thing that, you know, people didn't understand about
So
him.
that's what I
That he
want to
was
know from you.
No, but you were with him more. He was an extrovert on radio.
Yes.
But an introvert personally.
No, so this is Brian Saint Juste, everybody. I was going to ask you how you are, but I'm not, maybe I should ask you how are you doing? How are you?
You know, that's an interesting question.
Yes,
and when you
I
bring it
know.
up, I should ask you.
No, don't send it back this way. How are you doing?
You know what? I don't know. I don't know. Many people call me, obviously, you know, to offer their condolences, their support, and want to know how you're doing. And sometimes I have to say, boy, I don't know, you know, but guess what? I'm just keeping busy, you know, going to work regardless, doing work, you know, and just, you know, just trying to get through the period, you know, trying to get through the period.
Your brother. Something else, eh? Such an enigmatic, I don't know what the word is to use, but we knew him as this larger-than-life individual. But
So, you know, the interesting thing, as I mentioned before, the Francois that you all interacted with and worked with is slightly different from the Francois, obviously, that I would know. And, you know, I saw the introverted side, you know. But interestingly enough, you know, people would say, well, the younger brother looks up to the older. I looked up to him, you know.
did you really?
And I mean, being part of the St Juste family, I tell the people I'm just, you know, the little guy on the side. They're the ones that people want to know. But, you know, in his private life, you know, he was still that great person. I mean, if I needed anything, sir, and I called Francois, if he could do it, he's going to make it happen. And, you know, unfortunately, we didn't, you know, we weren't like see each other every single day, obviously. You know, we had different paths. But when we got together, you know, whether it was a family event or something, you know, it was special. And sometimes, you know, what I really have to say to people, you take these things for granted. But when you look back, you wish you had made more of the moment, you know. You know, every Boxing Day, we would go around to his house and he would cook up a storm, and of course I'd have to pretend to be Gordon Ramsay. What the hell is this? you know, or Chef St Juste, you missed out there. The seasoning didn't come out, and take it back. But you look forward to those little moments, and I just wish there were more.
Mm-hmm.
I wish, you wish you had, I guess it happens to a lot of people, who lose loved ones, who lose family members, who lose close family members.
Yes, sir.
I wish you had done more,
Yeah.
and we can't take each other's company for granted.
Yep.
And that's the main thing.
Yep. Well, I've told you that you're stuck with us because now Grandma's gone, Mommy's gone, Mommy Margaret is gone, Chappie's gone, Francois is gone. So your family's, you can't shake us.
Well, you might want to shake me. Tell you that. You might want to shake me.
Shake us.
Oh, God, him again? Jesus.
Oh, gosh. Anytime, Brian, anytime.
You know.
But we spoke, I think it might have been the day after he passed. All over the papers, news everywhere.
Wow.
And you said to me, boy, I wish he knew.
Yeah, I don't think he realized it. Yes, people know who he is and he's on the radio, but I don't think he realized. Well, it's more than just people knowing who he was on the radio. Yes, it's somebody I listened to. Some people, it's almost like they lost their son, their family member. I heard a lady on Ralston McKenzie's show. She called in, obviously, to try and find someone and give. And then she expressed condolences to the RJR family and said how she cried when she heard the news. And I heard that and I said, boy, imagine that, And a lot of Jamaicans, that's how it impacted them. You hear people, parents of youngsters, the youngsters listening in the car going to school or wherever. And the parents did the same thing when it probably was a fame scenario, And I really truly don't think he knew.
What do you think that was, Brian? Because Derek was saying if you would tell him, he would almost look sheepish. He couldn't look in your eyes if you were telling him how good he was.
No, absolutely.
He couldn't accept it.
Absolutely.
What was that?
I don't know, and I think that's the complex world of being an extrovert and an introvert in the same body or in the same frame. And you get behind a microphone, whether on stage or in studio or wherever, and you bring that side out. But the minute you come from that world, you go into a different world and, you just are almost shy.
Yeah.
Almost shy.
I think many of us who work in this industry understand it because when you're in the public eye and everybody wants to talk and so when you get into your little space, you're so protective of it. But Francois was like to the extreme,
Yeah.
And so a lot of people can't reconcile the two characters, but they were two in one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. Well, he meant a lot to many, you said it. Those of us who knew him well, those of us who knew him through radio and felt they knew him well. And a lot of the lives that he touched, as Trish mentioned. So I don't even know how we got this segment done because we could have sat here until next week, Thursday, to be honest. But we did. So, boy, boss, wherever you are, receive. Good vibes.
I really don't think there are enough words to describe a man who has been so much and has done so much for so many people. But this is the good vibes segment, right? And I think it's truly fitting because Francois is the epitome of good vibes. That's what he has brought to radio for decades. That is what he is to people who know him and who come in contact with him on a daily basis. That is what we know of the Francois that we were able to work with. And I say with because I never got the impression as though I was working for him. It always felt like we were a unit. We were together in this space. I'm going to miss him tremendously. I already miss him tremendously. It is still not sinking in the way I want it to because I don't want it to sink in. But I appreciate what he has done and been for me so much. So much. I'm truly heartbroken.
My greatest pleasure in radio, and I've had a lot, was Tuesday and Thursday reading Fame Sports because even in anticipation, you knew There was going to be laughter. There was going to be humor. There was going to be wit. There was going to be intelligence. There was going to be arguments. There was going to be disagreements. But all the time, it was going to be interesting for the listener because he always was. I enjoyed his company immensely. He, to me, is possibly the brightest mind in radio, alongside Don Topping. He knew what worked. He was innovative. He was always trying something. He relied on his staff. He invested in his staff. He believed in his staff. He encouraged his staff. He was brilliant, brilliant. And it's a huge loss to the industry, but more importantly, it's a huge loss to anybody who knew him. Most people in media, what you see is what you get. Francois had this alter ego. He was nothing like the person on radio. He was quiet. He was almost an introvert. And so, even when I met him for the first time, it was a huge surprise because I expected this loud, fame personality, but he wasn't that. He was brilliant. I'll miss him incredibly, a huge amount.
Showing some love and respect to Francois St Juste, a fabulous individual, misunderstood individual, the person that helped to, reshape Kurt Riley as a DJ and him understand more about life, because we had some conversations one-on-one about a lot of things. So he was also like a father to me. Over the years, he allowed me to express myself musically, like the sampling, like the dance samples and the running or good again. And even though a lot of people never like it and say me I mash up radio, hey, guess what happened? Everybody doing it right now. So he took a chance on me. And then he always tell me that there's always methods to his madness. And we'll see the end result of it. Francois, you will always be loved and you will always be cherished. And your name is going to live in radio and Jamaica forever. Blessed love from DJ Kurt Riley.
I don't have on no makeup, I don't fix up properly, but I don't want to miss the opportunity. So here's the deal. Hashtag Forever Francois, good vibes. Boss, you opened up my mind, you taught me so much, so many new things. You opened up my eyes to see things in different ways, and you opened up my heart to just the love of the nation, really, our listeners, our friends, and the experience was a fantastic one. What a ride. You will always be here with me. Hashtag Forever Francois.
Sail on, little brother, sail on, and continue to have an awesome impact on the next universe. Francois St Juste, Francois, France, Frankie.
Francois, your energy was beautiful, and I thank you. I thank you for every moment, every experience, every hug, every smile, every encouraging word, every advice, for you saying to me, Kerry, allow people to see who you are in media first before you share your story, for being that guiding force who believed in me, even when you still had doubts, but you never showed it. All you showed me was compassion and understanding and support. And I am thankful for the opportunity to have encountered you, the person that I'd listened to on air that would help me through some of the darkest moments as a child. And you impacted my life greatly, significantly. And I'll never forget you. Never. You are loved by me and so many others. And I want to say thank you for believing in the talent that you put together to build that brand of fame, and for being an amazing leader and someone who had vision and someone who had a heart. And I love you.
just some of the folks we were able to talk to. Brian, I wish you knew. I wish you could have been there to see just how amazing a man he was and how he rallied us and motivated us. He never had to ask more than once, never had to ask, because he was just so special that he made you want to work. Never felt like work. Never felt like work.
Wow.
It's our good vibes. We're going to come back with Brian and put the lid on the show right after this. Soon come. All right, we are back. It's with Brian to put the lid on tonight's show. We gave a big sigh out of that good vibe segment.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind?
Wow, just the emotion, just the way people felt, the respect, the understanding, and just the impact that he had on them. And I mean that's speaking about the colleagues. I really would like to say to the whole Jamaica and beyond, how touched, how it feels to know the respect and love that everybody had for him.
Yeah. How would you want for us to? How can we honor him, especially those of us who are still in the industry? So double barrel questions. And how do you want us to remember him and his legacy? How do those of us who are still here, who he impacted so greatly, how do we honor him?
Well, I think he's being honored every day, just by the phone calls, by the messages. His good friend Dwight Gray wrote a lovely piece.
I saw it. It was fantastic.
I mean, the amount of people who called me who don't know him about it. And I think just that, and just showing the appreciation, the love, But, unfortunately, we have to move on with our lives, and we have to. But, it's really just about when you do things, you say, well, I'm going to do it this way because this is how he'd want me to have done it, as opposed to, it doesn't need to have a statue or whatever. It's just really about knowing the influence and the impact, and for many people who he helped shape their lives and put them on a good path, And I think that just recognizing that is more than enough,
In terms of his legacy?
More than enough.
How do you want him to be remembered? As somebody who changed lives?
Well, that's a tough question. I mean, I think it's really about in each and every one of us doing good, helping the next person. That would really help to preserve his legacy. Sometimes somebody comes in, they're not the right thing, and you want to dismiss them. No, work with them, help them. And I think if we just show respect to our fellow human beings, whether Jamaica or wherever, I think that would have been preserving his legacy.
I just heard myself asking the question, and I literally cannot believe we're having this discussion right now.
Yeah, sometimes I expect him to turn up at my house to come beg me 2 pair, But yeah. It's going to take a while. Trust me, it's going to take a while.
Time. Well, to all Jamaica who's looking on and wishing you well and praying for you, what do you want to say? You, the family, anything?
I don't know how to say thank you enough.
Yeah.
How to say, as I say, my heart full of joy. Oops, sorry. My heart full. It really, that's what's keep me going, actually, to tell you the honest truth. The calls, those of you who haven't responded to on WhatsApp, I'm coming to you. I don't think I haven't, but that's what really, you know, it really,
Yeah.
really.
My director just said in my ear, that's me. So you owe Prince a call after this, okay? All right. Thank you so much, Brian.
Thank
It was
you.
such an honor to have you here.
It's an honor
For us to
be
be
here.
able to do this. And now it is time for us to wrap our show with our affirmation. Tonight, not really an affirmation, but more an ode and a tribute. So some people show up in our lives when we least expect, out of absolutely nowhere, but unbeknownst to us, at the right time, when we need them most. They pour into us and they plant seeds for no other reason than wanting us to thrive and bear fruit, with every intention of watching us grow, but no intention to reap. People who position themselves in our lives to push us beyond our own boundaries, to be the best version of ourselves, expecting no praise and no glory in return. Opening our eyes to the fact that we have way more in us than we think we do, and enabling us to find it, even while trying to find themselves. Helping us through our own turmoil while quietly navigating their own. Giving graciously, surrounded but alone. Cheering for you as your dreams manifest while living their lives, going through their own tests. I wish we had more people like those who gave so selfishly. And God knows that if nothing else on this earth is true, Francois, there will never be another like you. You've worked hard, you emptied yourself, filling others up, and now we in turn will fill our cups to pour into others as you did to us. No ifs, no ands, no babies. It's a must. This is the least we can do to honor your life and your legacy. We will never forget you. We love you endlessly. Rest in peace, my friend, Francois. We will continue to celebrate your life and what you meant to so many of us. That is our show for this evening. We thank you for watching. We're here next week with another story of the power of the human spirit. Until then, every blessing. And please remember, as Brian said, love hard on those around you. Tell them you love them when you do. And don't forget to count your blessings. Night, everybody.